As soon as the twigs catch fire, bring them home. Fluffy gathered some dry twigs and took them to the rooster's house. He was still asleep. Fluffy fearfully put the dry twigs near the rooster's comb, but it was no use. The twig did not get fire. Fluffy rubbed the twigs against the rooster's comb again, but it was no use. They would not catch fire. Fluffy returned home without the fire and told her mother. The rooster's comb did not set twigs on fire. Mrs. Cat answered, "Why can't you do anything right? Come with me, I'll show you how to make fire with the rooster's comb." So together they went to the house of Mr. Rooster. He was still asleep. Mrs. Cat put the twigs as near the rooster's comb as she could, but the twigs did not get fire. Then, shaking with fear, she put her paw near the rooster's comb and gently touched it. To her surprise, the comb was not hot. It was very cold. It was just red colored. As soon as Mrs. Cat realized that the roosters had lied to the cats about their combs, she joyfully went out and told the other cats about the rooster's tricks. From that day on, the cats no longer worked for the roosters. But the cat said, "Your comb is not made of fire. It is just the color of fire. We touched it when you were asleep, you lied to us." When the king of the roosters found out that the cats knew that he had lied to them, he ran away. Now, whenever roosters see the cat, they scurry away because to this very day they are afraid of cats. The proud red rose. Beautiful. One beautiful spring day, a red rose blossomed in the forest. Many kinds of trees and plants grew there. As the rose looked around, the pine tree nearby said, "What a beautiful flower. I wish I was that lovely." Another tree said, "Dear pine, do not be so sad. We cannot be everything." The rose turned its head and remarked, "It seems that I am the most beautiful plant in the forest." And Sunflower raised his yellow head and asked, "Why do you say that? In the forest there are many more beautiful plants." "You are just one of them," the red rose replied. I see everyone looking at me and admiring me." Then the rose looked at the cactus and said, "Look at that ugly plant, full of thorns." The pine tree said, "Red rose, what kind of talk is this? Who can say what beauty is? You have thorns too." The proud red rose looked angrily at the pine and said, "I thought you had good taste. You do not know what beauty is at all. You cannot compare my thorns to that of cactus." What a proud flower, thought the trees. A rose tried to move its roots away from the cactus, but it could not move. As the days passed, the red rose would look at the cactus and say insulting things like, "This plant is useless. How sorry I am to be his neighbor." The cactus never got upset, and he even tried to advise the rose, saying, "God did not create any form of life without a purpose." Spring passed and the weather became very warm. Life became difficult in the forest as the plants and animals needed water and no rain fell. The red rose began to wilt. One day the rose saw a sparrow stick its beaks into the cactus and then fly away refreshed. This was puzzling, and the red rose asked the pine tree what the birds were doing. The pine tree explained that the birds got water from the cactus. "Does it not hurt when they make holes?" asked the rose. "Yes, but the cactus does not like to see any birds suffer," replied the pine. The rose opened its eyes in wonder and said, "The cactus has water. Yes, you can also drink from it. The sparrow can bring water to you if you ask the cactus for help." Beautiful. The red rose felt too ashamed of its past words and behavior to ask for water from the cactus. But then it finally did ask the cactus for help. And the cactus kindly agreed, and the birds filled their beaks with water and watered the rose's roots. Thus the rose learned a lesson and never judge anyone by their appearance again. The selfish man. Once upon a time there was a selfish man. He liked everything to be his own. He could not share his belongings with anyone, not even his friends or the poor. One day the man lost 30 gold coins. He went to his friend's house and told them how he lost his gold coins. His friend was a kind man. As his friend's daughter was coming from an errand, she found 30 gold coins. When she arrived home, she told her father what she had found. The girl's father told her that the gold coins belonged to his friend, and he sent for him. When the selfish man arrived, he told him how his girl had found his 30 gold coins and handed them to Then to him, after counting golden coins, the man said that 10 of them were missing and had been taken by the girl as he had 40 gold coins. He further commented that he will recover the remaining amount from him, but the girl's father refused. The man left the gold coins and went to the court and informed the judge about what had taken place between him and the girl's father. The judge sent for the girl and her father, and when they arrived, asked the girl how many gold coins did she find. She replied 30 gold coins. The judge then asked the selfish man how many gold coins did he lose, and he answered 40 gold coins. The judge then told the man that gold coins did not belong to him because the girl found 30 and not 40 as he claimed to have lost, and then told the girl to take the gold coins and that if anybody is looking for them, he will send for the girl. The judge told the man that if anybody deposed that they found 40 gold coins, he will send for him. It was then that the man confessed that he lied and that had lost 30 gold coins, but the judge did not listen to him. This story teaches us to be always honest, as dishonest never pays. You are priceless to those who love you. A well-known speaker started off his seminar by holding up a $20 bill in the room of 200. He asked, who would like this $20 bill? Hands started going up. He said, I'm going to give this $20 to one who put first. Let me do this. He proceeded to crumple up the $20 bill. He asked who still wants it. Still hands were up in the air. Well, what if I do this? He cropped it on the ground and started to grind it into the floor with his shoe. He picked it up, then now crumbled and dirty, and asked who still wants it. Still hands went up into the air. My friends, we all have learned a very valuable lesson. No matter what was done to the money, it was still wanted because it did not decrease its value. It was still worth $20. Many times in our lives, we are dropped, crumpled, ground into the dirt by the decisions we make and circumstances that come our way. We may feel as though we are worthless, but no matter what happened or will happen, you will never lose your value, dirty or clean, crumpled or fine crease. You are still priceless of those who love you. Beautiful. Be careful what you want, what you plant. An emperor in the Far East was growing old and knew it was time to choose his successor. Instead of choosing one of his assistants or his children, he decided something different. He called young people in the kingdom together. One day he said, it's time for me to step down and choose the next emperor. I have decided to choose one of you. The king was shocked, but the emperor continued, I'm going to give each of you a seed today, one very special seed. I want you to plant the seed and water it and come back here after 1 year from today with what you have grown from this one seed. It will then judge the plants that you bring, and the one I choose will be the next emperor. One boy named Ling was there that day, and he, like the other, received the seed. He went home and excitedly told his mother the story. She helped him get a pot and planting soil, and he planted the seed and watered it carefully. Every day he would water it and watch it, see if it had grown. After about 3 weeks, some of the other youths began to talk about the seeds and plants and that they were beginning to grow. Ling kept shaking his seed, but nothing ever grew. 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks went by, still nothing. By now, others were talking about their plans, but Ling didn't have a plan, and he felt like a failure. 6 months went by, still nothing in Ling's pod. He just knew he had killed his seed. Everyone else had trees and all plants, but he had nothing. Ling didn't say anything to his friends. However, he just kept waiting for his seed to grow. A year finally went by, and all the youths of the kingdom brought their plans to the emperor for inspection. Ling told his mother that he wasn't going to make an empty pot, but honest about what happened, Ling felt sick to his stomach. But he knew his mother was right. He took his empty pot to the palace. When Ling arrived, he was amazed at the wide variety of the plants grown by the other youths. They were beautiful in all shapes and sizes. Ling was put his empty pot on the floor, and many of the other kinds laughed at him. A few felt sorry for him and just said, hey, nice try. When the emperor arrived, he surveyed the room and greeted the young people. Ling just tried to hide in the back with great plants, trees, flowers had grown. said the emperor. Today one of you will be appointed the next emperor. All of a sudden the emperor spotted Ling at the back of the room with his empty pot. He ordered his guards to bring him to the front. Ling was terrified. The emperor knows I'm a failure. Maybe he will have me killed. When Ling got to the front, the emperor asked his name. My name is Ling, replied. All the kids were laughing and making fun of him. The emperor asked everyone to quiet down. He looked at Ling and then announced to the crowd, behold your new emperor, his name is Ling. Ling couldn't believe it. Ling couldn't even grow his seed. How could he be the new emperor? Then the emperor said, 1 year ago today, I gave everyone here a seed. I told you to take a seed and plant it, water it, and bring it back to me. Today, but I gave you all boiled seeds, which could not grow. All of you except Ling had brought me trees and plants and flowers. When you found that the seed did not grow, you substituted another seed for the one I gave you. Ling was the only one with the courage and honesty to bring me a pot with my seed in it. Therefore, he is the one who will be the new emperor. Remember your graves, because your ways pass over it. You will be dealt with as you deal with others. You will reap what you sow, and what you send today will meet you tomorrow. If you plant honesty, you will reap trust. If you plant goodness, you will reap friends. If you plant humility, you will reap greatness. If you plant perseverance, you will reap victory. If you plant consideration, you will reap harmony. If you plant hard work, you'll reap success. If you plant forgiveness, you will reap reconciliation. If you plant openness, you will reap intimacy. If you plant patience, you will reap improvements. If you plant faith, you will reap miracles. But if you plant dishonesty, you will reap distress. If you plant selfishness, you will reap loneliness. If you plant pride, you will reap destruction. If you plant envy, you will reap trouble. If you plant laziness, you will reap stagnation. If you plant bitterness, you will reap isolation. If you plant greed, you will reap loss. If you plant gossip, you will reap enemies. If you plant worries, you will reap wrinkles. If you plant sin, you will reap guilt. So be careful what you plant now. It will determine what you will reap tomorrow. The seeds you now scatter will make life worse or better, your life or the ones who will come after. Yes, someday you will enjoy the fruits, or you will pay for the choices you plant today. Generosity, Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi went from city to city, village to village, collecting funds for the Charkha Sangh. During one of his tours, he addressed a meeting in Orissa. After his speech, a poor old woman got up. She was bent with age, her hair was grey, and her clothes were in tatters. The volunteers tried to stop her, but she fought her way to the place where Gandhiji was sitting. I must see him. She insisted on going up to Gandhiji, touched his feet. From the folds of her sari, she brought out a copper coin and placed it at his feet. Gandhiji picked up the copper coin, put it away carefully. The Chakra Sangh funds were under the charge of Jamnalal Bajaj. He asked Gandhiji for the coin, but Gandhiji refused. I keep checks worth thousands of rupees for the Chakra Singh, Jamnalal Bajaj said languidly. Yet you won't trust me with a copper coin. This copper coin is worth much more than all those thousands. If a man has several lives and he gives away 1,000 or 2, it does not mean much. But this coin was perhaps all that the poor woman possessed. She gave me all she had. She was very generous of her. What a great sacrifice she made. That is why I value this copper coin more than the crore of rupees. Beautiful. Overlook and forget the weakness of generous people, because if they fall down, Allah gives His hand in their hands and helps them. The crystal ball. In the south of Spain, there was a small village whose people were very joyful and lucky. The children played under the shades of the tree in the gardens of their home. A shepherd boy whose name was Nasi stayed near the village with his father, mother, and grandmother. Early morning each day, he takes his herd of goats up the hills to find a suitable place for them to gaze. In the afternoon, he would return with them to the village. At night, his grandfather would tell him a story, the story of stars. This story really interested Nasir. As usual, on one of these days, as Nasir was watching his herd and played his flute, he suddenly saw a wonderful light behind the flower bush. When he came towards the branches, saw a transparent and most beautiful crystal ball. The crystal ball was glittering like a colorful rainbow. Nasir carefully took it in his hands and turned it around. With surprise, suddenly he heard a voice coming from the crystal ball and said, "If you can make a wish with your heart desires, I will fulfill it." Nasir could not believe what he had actually heard a voice, but he became so engrossed in his thoughts, for he had so many wishes but he must wish for something which was impossible, like the wish to be able to fly. He said to himself, "If I wait till tomorrow, I'll remember many things." But he put the crystal ball in the bag and gathered the herd happily to return back to the village. He decided that he would not tell anyone about the crystal ball. On the following day, Nasir could not decide what to wish for because he really had everything he needed. The days passed as usual, and Nasir appeared to be very cheerful, that the people around him were amazed to see his cheerful disposition. One day, a boy followed Nasir and his herd and hid behind a tree. Nasir, as usual, sat in a corner, took out a crystal ball, and for a few moments looked at it. The boy waited for a moment when Nasir would go to sleep. Then he took the crystal ball and ran away. When he arrived in the village, he called all the people and showed them the crystal ball. The citizens of the village took the crystal ball in their hands and turned it around with surprise. Suddenly, they heard the voice inside the crystal ball which says, "I can fulfill your wish." One person took the ball and screamed, "I want one bag full of gold." Another took the ball and said loudly, "I want two chests full of jewelry." Some of them wished that they would have their own palace with grand dome made from pure gold instead of their old houses. Some also wished for bags full of jewelry, but nobody asked the gardens in their places. All their wishes were fulfilled, but still the citizens of the village were not happy. They were jealous because the person who had a palace had no gold, and the person that had the gold had no palace. For this reason, the citizens of the village were angry and were not speaking to each other. There was not even one garden that existed in the village where the children could play. The patience of the children was running out, and they were uncomfortable. Nasir and his family were happy and pleased. Every morning and afternoon he would play the flute. The children could not wait any more and decided to return the crystal ball to Nasir. The parents and neighbors went to him. The children said to Nasir, "When we had a small village, we were all happy and joyful." The parent also spoke, "In one way or another, nobody is happy. The expensive palaces and jewelry only bring us pain." When Nasir saw that the people were really regretful, he said, "I have not wished till now. If you really want everything to return to its own place, then I will wish for it." Everyone happily agreed. Nasir took the crystal ball in his hand, turned around, and wished that the village become the same as it was before. Everyone quickly turned toward the village and saw it became the same old village with gardens full of trees and fruits. Once again, the people started to live happily, and the children played under the shade of trees. From the next day and every day at sunset, the sounds of Nasir's flute could be heard in the village. This story teaches us that we should be happy with whatever we have and not to be greedy. La la la, so good. The signs of happiness. So good. There was a young couple who had a very happy life together. The only thing that they worried about was whether their happiness would last forever, or would they too have to face the problems. One day they heard that a wise old man had come to the town. He could solve all problems and guide people, so the couple decided to visit the old wise man and tell them their source of worry. The wise old man told them, "Travel around the world and seek a man or woman who was perfectly happy as a couple. When you find such a couple, ask them for a piece of cloth from the man's shirt. Then keep that piece of cloth with you and you'll always remain happy." The young one began their journey to find the happiest couple in the world. In one place, they heard that the governor and his wife were the happiest people, so they went to their palace and asked, "Are you the happiest couple?" "Yes, we are happy in every way except for one thing: we do not have children." Well, that didn't make the governor and wife the happiest couple, so they continued their journey. They arrived in one city where they had The happiest couple lived. They went to the house and asked them, "Are you the happiest couple?" "Yes, we are really happy in every way except that we have too many children, which make our life a bit uncomfortable." No, this couple does not sound to be the happiest, and so they continued their journey. They visited many countries, cities, towns, and villages, asked the same question, but they did not find what they were looking for. One day, the young couple came across the shepherd in the desert. The shepherd was grazing his sheep with his wife, and the child came along. The shepherd greeted his wife and gently patted the child. She was carrying. She laid the mat and started to eat contentedly. The young couple came to them and asked them, "Are you the happiest couple?" The shepherd and his wife replied, "Nobody is unhappier than the king." The young couple immediately realized that they were the happiest couple and asked them for a piece of shepherd's shirt so that their happiness too would last throughout. The shepherd said, "If I give you a piece of cloth from my shirt, then I will be left without any clothes since I own just one shirt." The young couple at once understood that it is very difficult to find perfect happiness anywhere in the world. The couple decided to return to their country. They went to the wise old man and related all that they had taken place. They also complained about this guidance was difficult to abide by. The wise old man laughed and said, "Was your journey useless or did you learn something from it?" The young man replied, "Yes, after this trip I have learned that in this world nobody is perfectly happy, but only that person is happy who does everything to please God. And whosoever follows the guidance of God, on them shall be no fear, nor shall they grieve." The wife said, "I have learned that in order to be happy, it's important to remember two things. First, all human beings should be thankful and contented with whatever they have." And your Lord declared publicly, "If you are grateful, I will add more favors unto you." And secondly, for ultimate happiness, one must always practice patience. Seek help through patient perseverance and prayers. After the young couple then thanked the wise old man for his guidance and returned home, the wise man prayed for them and said, "Indeed, the sign of happiness is in their heart, and they have good manners, and if a lifetime is spent in pleasures and God, there would be no differences in the existence of mankind." Hope and greed. Caliph Harun Rashid desired that anyone who had seen the Holy Prophet saw in his lifetime be brought before him. After some time, a very old woman who was brought before the Caliph. The Caliph asked the old woman, "Did you see the Prophet yourself?" "Yes, sir." The Caliph then asked her if she remembered any narration from him. She said, "Yes. When old age comes, two things become young. One is hope and the other is greed." The Caliph thanked her and gave her 100 dinars. The woman thanked Caliph and was taken back. Half the way, some thought passed through her mind and she desired to be brought before the Caliph once more. Then she was shown in. Caliph asked, "Well, why have you come back?" "I just came to inquire whether the money you gave me were once for all or is it to continue every year." The Caliph thought, "How true is the Prophet's word. She has hope of life even now, and she has greed for money too." The Caliph said, "Don't worry, you will be paid every year." She was taken back, but on the way she breathed her last. Oh gosh, so pretty. 4 wives. Once upon a time, there was a rich merchant who had 4 wives. He loved the 4th wife the most and adorned her with rich robes and treated her with delicacies. He took great care of her and gave her nothing but the best. He also loved the 3rd wife very much. He is very proud of her and always wanted to show off her to his friends. However, the merchant is always in fear that she might run away with some other man. He loved his 2nd wife. She is a very considerate person, always patient, and in fact the merchant's confident. Whenever the merchant faced some problems, he always turned to his 2nd wife and she would always help him out and tide him through the difficult times. Now the merchant's 1st wife is very loyal partner and has made great contributions in maintaining his wealth and business as well as taking care of the household. However, the merchant did not love the first wife, and although she loved him deeply, and he hardly took notice of her. One day the merchant fell ill. Before long, he knew that he was going to die soon. He thought of his luxurious life and told himself, now I have 4 wives with me, but when I die, I'll be all alone. How lonely I'll be. Then he asked the fourth wife, I loved you so much. You most endowed you with the finest clothing and showered you with care over you. Now that I'm dying, will you follow me and keep me company? No way, replied the fourth wife and walked away without another word. All answer cut like a sharp knife right to the merchant's heart. The sad merchant then asked the third wife, I have loved you so much for all my life. Now that I am dying, will you follow me and keep me company? No, replied the third wife. Life is so good over here. I am going to remarry when you die. The merchant's heart sunk and turned cold. Then he asked the second wife, I always turn to you for help and you always help me out. Now I need your help again. When I die, will you follow me and keep me company? I'm sorry, I can't help you out this time, replied the second wife. At the very most, I can only send you to your grave. Answer came to like a bolt of thunder, and merchant was devastated. Then a voice called out, I'll live with you. I'll follow you no matter where you go. The merchant looked up, and there was the first wife. She was so skinny, almost like so she suffered malnutrition. Greatly grieved, the merchant said, I should have taken much better care of you while I could have. Actually, we all have 4 wives in our lives. The fourth wife is our body. No matter how much time and effort we lavish in making it look good, it will leave us when we die. The third wife is our possession, status, and health. When we die, they all go to others. Second wife is our family and friends. No matter how close they have been for us, when we are alive, the furthest they can stay with us is up to the grave. The first wife is, in fact, our soul, often neglected in our pursuit of material wealth and sensual pleasure. Guess what? It is actually the only thing that follows us wherever we go. Perhaps it's a good thing to cultivate and strengthen it rather than to wait until we are on our deathbed to lament. Lion, cat, snake, and honeycomb. Once a man saw in his dream that a lion was chasing him. The man ran to a tree, climbed onto it, and sat on a branch. He looked down and saw that the lion was still there waiting for him. The man then asked to decide where the branch he was sitting on was attached to the tree, and saw the 2 rats were circling around and eating the branch. One rat was black and the other was white. The branch would fall on the ground very soon. The man then asked below again with fear and discovered that the big black snake had come and settled directly into him. Snake opened his mouth right under the man so that he fell into it. The man asked, looking up to see if there was anything if he could hold on to. He saw another branch with a honeycomb, drops of honey falling from it. The man wanted to taste one of the drops, so he put his tongue out and tasted one of the fallen drops of honey. And honey was amazing in taste, so he wanted to taste another drop. As he did, he got lost in the honey sweetness. Meanwhile, he forgot about the 2 rats eating his branch away, the lion on the ground, and the snake that is sitting right under him. After a while, he woke up from his sleep. To get the meaning behind this dream, the man went to the pious scholar of Islam. The scholar said, the lion you saw is your death. It always chases you and goes wherever you go. The 2 rats, one black and one white, are the night and day. Black one is the night, the white is the day. They circle around, coming one after another to eat your time as they take you closer to death. The big black snake with the dark mouth is your grave, is there just waiting for you to fall into it. The honeycomb in this world and the sweet honey is the luxuries of this world. You like to taste a drop of luxuries of the world, but it's very sweet. Then we taste another drop and yet another. Meanwhile, we get lost into it and we forget about our time, we forget about our death, and we forget about our grave. This world is like a serpent, so soft to touch, but so full of lethal poison. Unwise people are lured by it and drawn toward it, and wise men avoid it and keep away from its poisonous effects. The most beautiful heart. We are enjoying, right? Should we stop? Stop, 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 stop.